live, I want to bring attention to Iyanla Vanzant. Oh my goodness, the Breakfast Club just interviewed Iyanla Vanzant, and she has a new book called Spiritual Hygiene. Oh, I think it's going to be good. So I went ahead and ordered the book, Spiritual Hygiene. And in the book, she talks about how important it is, like the way we brush our teeth, and we do daily rituals and routines to maintain our personal hygiene. She's talking about developing rituals and routines for spiritual hygiene. Now, when I was in college, I just want to say this: I had a roommate who was a yogi, a black girl, and she had spiritual hygiene, and I was always impressed with it. And I had always promised myself that I would develop something very similar. I'm be honest, I'm kind of like reactive to some extent, like taking it very serious, like, whatever. I tend to wait till I feel stressed or I got problems and then I focus on that type of thing. Um, just being honest. But Iyanla talks about, hey, good morning, Candy Cane. But Iyanla talks about, like, as a ritual and a routine, through good, bad, or whatever, um, spiritual hygiene. And the roommate I had, I watched her, while she was my roommate. She would get up at like 5 in the morning, and the first thing she would do is she turn her little light on, and she would start journaling her first thoughts, her dreams, or whatever. I'm not sure exactly what she was writing in there, but I would see her writing. And then after she got done writing, um, she would do her prayers. She was a yogi, and then she would get to meditating. She would get down on her pillow. She had a yoga pillow, and she would a meditation pillow. She would get down and meditate, you know, and she would listen to chants and stuff like that sometimes. But that was something I saw her do literally religiously, and I always was inspired by it. I was like, man, I want to be like that. And she's an amazing woman. She's an amazing woman, and so she works now at Emory University. I think she leads one of the departments at Emory University. But that was my roommate, and I think it's so important. The idea of it. We're bombarded with like negativity. I mean, this is something I've always believed. We're bombarded with negativity all the time. We're bombarded with challenges and stress and all kind of things that take our energy down, that tear at our, emotional health, you know, and my whole thing, as far as I'm concerned, is when you detect problems and struggles in your life, be committed to changing those things. There's nothing worse than waking up to the same problem every day. And if you wake up to a bunch of different problems every day, I mean, you feel heavy when you wake up. You don't feel optimistic. And I can attest to that. I can attest to that. My career and certain stuff just got heavy. It got heavy. And at some point, I just looked up one day and I said, this is not the life that I want to sign up for anymore. And I'm going to change it completely. And it wasn't my plan, but I'm going to change it. I don't want to work for anybody anymore. I'm done. I'm going to do something different. And so I was able to find my balance that way, instead of just keep signing up for the same stuff every day, stuff I don't like, tolerating things. So I think finding the root of your anxiety, your problems, your issues, your challenges, your struggles, I think that is the key. But you still got to maintain peace of mind, because you're never going to be rid of, nothing's going to be perfect, nothing is going to be perfect. So that's what I think. But Iyanla, I'm going to check out her book. Let me see. I saw you did a stream on the Pearl debate. Are you interested in participating on the panel? Yes, ma'am. I'm thinking about Saturday at 4. Yeah, I'm down with it for sure. I would love to. I have plenty to say about that. I have plenty to say about that. Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation. So, yes, confirmation. I would like to do it. You said this Saturday at 4. Yes. Appreciate that, Candy. said lots of people in the manosphere uh, burned their credibility defending Pearl. They got nothing out of it. Oh, I agree. I agree. And I have to say, I started thinking about being an elder when I was listening to Iyanla Vanzant. And it made me think about how she presents herself, with integrity, dignity, and stuff like that. And that's one of the things I think happened or happens in the manosphere or the manosphere adjacent. The elders are not the ones who carry real wisdom. They're not. They're the ones who lead people into foolishness. And unfortunately, we have failed ourselves as young people because we don't recognize that not elderly, but elderhood does not equate to wisdom. When you meet a real elder, like, MOT, you talk about your grandfather. I have never met your grandfather. Let me see, I'm going around the mountain. Hold on. I'm going around the mountain, so it might cut me off for a second. But I was saying, MOT, I never met your grandfather, right? But the way you talk about him and the wisdom he imparted to you, you know, it's a standard. It's a standard of elderhood. The way he encouraged you to get out and be the best you could be and move past the boundaries that have been set on your life. That's the real story. That's the real story, and it's important. I mean, like I said, I appreciate those stories, and I hope that you yourself and brothers like you continue to tell stories like that. Because that needs to be information for younger people to know that everybody old is not necessarily imparting knowledge, and know the difference. They have clout chasers, remorse. Right. She got them looking real crazy. And I mean, the whole thing is over. I mean, really, it is. This red pill, it's over. Nobody's trying to hear that. The world is trying to get out of the entanglements, the confusion, especially the next generation. Nobody has bandwidth for a bunch of philosophical bullshit that doesn't actually help the quality of your life. That shit makes you miserable. And that's why I tell some folks who call themselves teaching, you trying to get somebody to jump off a roof. And that's the only real outcome, jumping off a roof. When nothing can be saved and nothing is good. Jumping off the roof is your only option. Let me see. He said, wonderful. I am gathering the women I know that I know watched and commented. Oh, excellent. Good. Cool. MLT. He said the manosphere talking points don't work in real life, and they definitely don't work in debate with a married woman. Right. Yeah, the talking points just it's kind of like I, it's an alternative world. That's all I can say. I call it alternative world because I don't have words in the real world for what that's supposed to be, you know. And I try not to be doom and gloom or anything, but we do have to think about our abilities. I'll just say this real briefly. I have a coworker who's real, real bright, smart, amazing, intelligent. She was a community defender. She's always helping people. Very sweet lady. And I tried to communicate with her for the past couple of months, and she's got Alzheimer's. She barely remembers me or anybody else, you know. And so I think for all of this worth, we are young and we can move through these different phases of life, adulthood, from childhood, and then we go into, you know, maturity as far as becoming an elder. And then once you get to a certain point as an elder, you start going back to babyhood. all kind of things. I don't like to dwell on it too much, but it's a reality. People not being able to hold a urine, not being